Originally designated as a day to give gifts to household servants in the 70s, the day after Christmas, known as the Boxing Day, is now one spent unwrapping Christmas gifts from family and friends. It is a day for relaxation and bonding. Though no longer celebrated like in the past, how significant is the Boxing Day to the family unit? Joining us now is a clergy and the founder of Awesome Expressions of Youth Foundation, Ejiro Sagwa. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Morning.
Compliments of the season.
Same to you. Thank you. And let me say happy Boxing Day. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year in advance.
Amen. Same to you. Same to you. Same to you.
I hope the chicken and the goods have not finished.
Well, I know that last
did you
night
bring
there was
some?
still chicken.
Okay.
Did you bring some?
I was going to bring, but I was considering the traffic because of this fuel queue. So I just rushed down.
Nice one.
I rushed down.
It's Boxing Day, and I believe that you have a gift to unbox today.
Well, these days, this Boxing Day, many people think Boxing Day has to do with boxing.
Fist fight.
So looking at the Boxing Day, I don't know how many boxes are available. These days, we are not really seeing those boxes. But like you said earlier, it's the original concept, was about servants being given Christmas boxes, by their bosses and giving the day off, to go home to their families, and this started about 2 decades ago in the 19th century under Queen Victoria, of England. And basically, it's more like a holiday or a celebration that is, very, very close to the Commonwealth. Like in America today, Boxing Day is not a public holiday. Okay? So basically, it's about giving, about the rich giving to the poor. That is the concept. And it's in sync with the Christmas season. It's in sync with the Christmas season, which is a season of giving. Ideally, there shouldn't be a particular season when you give. Absolutely. Giving should be continuous, because it's more blessed to give than to receive. So the concept was let the poor also be able to get part of that good life. Okay? And the churches also, at that time, the 18th century, the churches also used to set aside collections. From the beginning of the year, they collect money. And on Christmas Day, they open that box and find out how much is there. Then the next day, December 26th, then they give out money to those who do not have enough. Then it was given to paper boys and girls, like vendors, and people that didn't really have enough to really get by, okay? So they could have a taste of the good times, so to speak, because Jesus Christ said that the poor will always be with us. There's nothing we can do about that. So it's for us to consider them, consider their welfare, consider their plight, and say, how do we make life better? And I thought about it, and, really, when you look at today, Nigeria of today, how much of that are we seeing in terms of the real impact or looking at the significance of Boxing Day? Basically, Boxing Day is more like a public holiday to rest, okay? And you hardly find like how Christmas, for example, is recognizing the birth of Jesus Christ. You see, it has become commercialized. It's more like I'm buying and I'm selling which is good, but the essence of the holiday, this Boxing Day holiday, must not be lost.
Why?
It must not be lost because, of course, look at the country today. I mean, if I have the means, I can go out there and actually give food packs to people. Some NGOs are doing that. Some Christian organizations are doing that. We need to revitalize that concept. We need to revamp it and get it into play. Even in this era, like I thought about it as I was driving down here, and I tried to think about it. Who are those that we remember, that are known to be philanthropists? And the person that came to my mind was MKO Abiola. We need more of such people who have millions and billions that can take a little bit and give to the needy. I was out with my friend yesterday Christmas Day, we're just chatting and went to an eatery, sat by the window and we're looking. And I saw cars driving in, families coming in. And what did I see? I saw a pregnant woman standing outside with a baby and begging. And begging. Okay? And she was begging, and the people were walking in.
Nobody
to the
paid
eatery.
attention to her.
Nobody. So that's the country that we find ourselves in. So if we choose to remember this day and say, listen, this is Boxing Day. What's the essence? Is to give to the people that need. It could make a difference to people. And nowadays, I don't think it's more of the boxes. People are interested in the transfers. Okay? Interestingly, some 4 days ago, I was thinking about it because where I live, the estate I live, I take walks in the morning and I see, gatesmen. I said, listen, if I'm going to take a walk on Christmas Day, I have to carry some cash on me. So I carried an amount of cash and I exhausted it. So eventually, I had to do transfers. That shows you the poverty. That's poverty. Yeah. Okay, so this Boxing Day can at least do something.
All right, let's see it from a little different perspective.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned the woman with the baby, pregnant, and so on. We have seen where people have become deceitful with, they hire little babies, carry them around. In fact, they even carry some the pregnancy is not real.
Yes.
Where we've seen cases like that, where people begin to beg, and then some of them investigated, and you discover that they live normal lives. The only thing is that because they don't want to work or because they don't have anything else to do, so they now go into begging. And since begging is an emotional thing where you just feel, okay, because of the connection with God, because the Almighty God has said we should give, and all of those kind of issues around religion and spirituality, you decide to give. Yeah. Meanwhile, the person who is begging, or the person who is waiting to receive, as the case may be, is being deceitful. Yeah. How do you reconcile that situation? Because a lot of persons, in fact, we have even seen cases, or there are reports where some of those persons who are begging have been involved in armed robbery or have become informants, and so on, where they harm the person who has genuine intention to give. And people who have experiences like that, the next time they see a beggar or see any of those persons, they move on. Yeah. How do you reconcile that mix?
Okay, yeah, this is, I consider this, and I'm a Lagosian because I think I've been in Lagos now since 1994. Oh. And when I came to Lagos in 1994, then I was still in university. I had a friend who was living in Lagos, and he told me one thing. He said, Juro, if somebody greets you in Lagos, they're asking you for money. So we know that in Lagos, we know these tricks exist. But there was a message I heard from a respected man of God, Pastor Adeboye, and he said something, that when you are confronted by a beggar, that you have two choices. Number one, you either follow the side of righteousness to say, why are you begging and why are you not working? Or number two, you follow the side of mercy and say, listen, let me just give you. My son asked me a question because from time to time, I take him out to know the streets. Let's go into transport. Let's see the world as it is. Go to the bridges and you see people begging. Say, why don't you like giving these people money? I said, I don't give the people that are lazy. Do you understand? You can discern from time to time. You can know, those ones that go around with all those babies. Where are they getting those babies from? Who is the man that is supposed to be giving them those babies, and why is he leaving them there? So sometimes we make a mistake and give the wrong person. But sometimes too, we give the right person. If somebody is looking hungry, you don't want to give somebody money to go and take drugs. So there's this thing called the gift of discerning of spirits. You should be able to, if you have cultivated that as a Christian, if you are, or some intuition for some other person, you might be able to know when somebody's lying. Sometimes their stories are inconsistent. I've come across many of them. This is Lagos, So since 1994, I've seen a lot, and they come to you and they tell you stories. And sometimes you find the same person telling you a different story the next day. My wife encountered somebody in Alausa, and the lady told her one story today, how her child was in the hospital. She met her the next day, and it was another story. So she had to call her and say, listen, madam, why are you doing this? You understand? So you have a chance of giving the wrong person. But what about the chance of not giving the right person? You know, it's there. Sometimes we need to look at it and say, well, if somebody is out there begging, sometimes I've had to say, listen, you want money to eat? Okay, let's go. And I'll pay for food, eat the food. You know, sometimes you do that. You know, sometime last week, I saw a lady sweeping on the street. She was carrying her son, holding a plate of food. And I just bent down and said, madam, take this one, use this one, buy mineral for your pikin. You know, so there are some times that you know it's real, and there are some times that it's a scam. You know, so I believe that with your good heart, God will help you
There's
not
this
to fall into
boy,
the scam.
There's this little boy somewhere around Lagos who, you know, he carries
Pure water.
a bag of sachet water. I don't know if you've come across
Yeah,
it.
of course, there are many.
And something
Not only
happens, and then he will spill them, you know,
That's
and
right.
they're all on the ground, and he'll be
Yes, that's
crying.
right.
So motorists who are passing would be, oh, this little boy, yeah. And you can, in fact, I've even given him some money. So I discovered that. They said, you don't know this boy? This boy has been doing this thing. He'll just spill the thing. And then scatter the
Now,
entire
that's a
sachet water on the
concern
ground.
for me. That's a concern for me because yesterday, on my way returning home, we encountered some boys who blocked a street and were asking persons for monies before they can pass. And they were young, very young boys. And the issue for me was these guys are learning this at this age. The impact. It was a concern for me. Now, he mentioned that boy. He's young. It gives him a sense of entitlement to a level like, okay, this is what I would do to get these monies from people. He wouldn't want to think about anything else to do, to make reasonable money for himself or something like that. Now, that is the concern I have with this aspect of giving. Because there's the aspect you force people to give you, cajole people to give you, like he pointed out, and then some other persons just block the streets. How do we address some are even now constituting a nuisance? And then their age, when you look at them, very young boys. Yes, there are those who their parents left them. There are those who it is that, okay, they just decided to pick up this attitude and then leave school and say, this is the way we'll make monies. But before you respond to that, we need to quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue these conversations. I mentioned earlier how some of these young children, very young children, are beginning to pick up some of these gimmicks, its implication.
Okay, you know, I remember reading Oliver Twist, okay, and some other books like that. Back in the days, centuries ago, you had gangs that would groom young children to steal. And it's still the same system operating today. You know, this little boy, young boy who would throw his bag of sachet water and start crying and, you know, take advantage of the emotions of people and collect money. That guy definitely, he has someone he gives returns to. You know, there must be somebody out there that has trained him and he has to give some portion of what he gets from there. But for looking at it, the bigger picture as a society, young people, I have an NGO that focuses on transforming youths from job seekers to job creators, getting them to be able to do something, you know, skills, make use of their skills to earn rather than beg. A young person is either learning in school or learning a trade. If not, he's going to be in crime. And this begging and all that, they try to wash your windscreen and, you know, those things are part of the things that have been happening for a long time. You know, so you cannot expect that if there is no social system, right, to ensure that a young person is either in school or learning a trade, the other thing you would see is that they will be stealing. They will be into crime. There's a lot of drugs.
Other things.
You know, there are drug issues out there. It's very easy. Everywhere you go, you see you smell what you can smell, then you see what you can see. You see alcohol abuse as well. So they are exposed to all these vices at very young age, at a very young age. Now, I know that Lagos State government, I was once in Lekki, and I saw some group of small children running. And guess what was happening? There was this task force with their cars, and they were picking them from the streets. Things like that should continue, but not to stop there. You pick them and you rehabilitate them. So the system of raising our youths today, it is a bit defective. We don't have we don't have enough systems and structures in place to mold youths into responsible citizens. We don't have enough. You see, and the focus must be on our youths, because the leaders we see today, I was telling someone a few days ago that in 1983, I was in class 1. And the head of state then, when I was in class 1, is the same president we have today. So at age 51, I was a youth at 1983. Now it's 2022, I'm 51. So the youths of then, what are they today? The same thing, the youths that we see today doing these things, they are the ones that are going to be in positions of authority tomorrow. So what kind of leadership are we going to get? And that is where this current leadership, private sector, public sector, the civil societies, religious institutions, need to start looking at how do we remodel, how do we change the mindsets of these youths. Otherwise, someone said that he's frightened. He's frightened with what he sees in the youths. But I say that these youths are being encouraged by elderly people, by their parents sometimes. My daughter just did GCE. And she told me that in the hall, the invigilator will tell them, bring 1,000 naira and you can cheat. And, it is real. This is real, okay? And I'm sure that viewers who are watching, that they may have experienced it. And my daughter told me that some parents were there giving their children the money to cheat. So now, when the parents encourage their children to commit crime, who do you blame? Some cases, someone doesn't have a father, doesn't have a mother, he's in the streets. It's not everybody that doesn't have a father or mother that ends up in crime. It depends on the wiring. It depends on the opportunities that were just available. And this is where I still believe that it is not just government alone. Government has a role to play, but religious organizations, churches, mosques, NGOs, let's harness the value that we have in these youths.
That's a way of giving.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That is part of giving. And it's not just about giving somebody 2,000 naira or giving somebody 5,000 naira, maybe to vote for you or all those kind of things. No. It's about building them up, So the Chinese proverb says, it's better for you to teach a man how to fish than to keep giving the person fish. So it is frightening, because how do I explain to my 17-year-old, if not for the values that have been entrenched in her, godly values, how do I explain to her that she did an exam, right, and maybe she didn't do too well, and somebody that cheated has gotten admission, and she's waiting? That's the society we find ourselves in. And I still believe that we have failed this generation, and what we are seeing today is just like the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, if those criminal-minded children become legislators, what do we see?
Yeah, what you are talking about touches on dignity, of the person. The mind to say no to something, and even when it is at your detriment or at your inconvenience and all of that. Yeah. Now, that value, a lot of people at our age now will say, the good old days, good old days where in the 70s and in the 80s where your daddy or your mommy, whether they are educated or not, know the value of education, takes you to school. Yeah. If you fail 13 times, you have to rewrite that exam 13 times. Let us not hear that you were involved in an exam malpractice, and stuff like that. We don't seem to have a situation like that anymore where people fail in dignity and say, I will do it again, I will repeat again. Whatever it costs me, I will make the sacrifice to ensure I sit with all of the integrity that goes into it. So are you seeing a better day, better days when it comes to having a society like that where more people are coming out to say, you know what, I will not be involved in this. I will maintain my stand. Whether I fail, I fail. But then I will repeat again and ensure I get it right.
I have no choice but to see a better day. I I have no choice. We cannot afford to believe that things can get better. That means that everything is going to crash. And it starts from, like I said, the value system. You know, I belong to a Christian organization where, I mean, the focus is on raising role models. Okay? And at a tender age, you start to inculcate those values.
Train up a child.
Yes, exactly. Like the Bible says, train up a child in the way it should go, and when it's old, it won't depart from it. So we have to start appealing to these people that are from 30, 40, 50 upwards to start reconsidering the effects, the impact on encouraging these young ones to do what is wrong. Right. I mean, it's the parents that give the children money to buy what we call expo. Okay? So if we can talk to the parents, at the end of the day, when a child is wayward, who suffers? Do you know? It's the parent, you know? So it's just that they are not looking far.
The society, invariably.
Of course, the society is made up of parents, made up of, yeah, you know?
Anyway, we need to leave the conversation here now, but we must thank you, clergy and founder of Awesome Expressions of Youth Foundation, Ijiro Sagwa, for your time.
Thank you very much, Jerry.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.